Hi all, my name is Malika and today we are having Cryptorainn. He is a private investor and he educates people, and on his YouTube channel he tells how to invest in crypto. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, my pleasure.
How did you first become interested in crypto?
Well, Malika, I've been fascinated since I was very young on how to have money. I came from a pretty poor family, and what I learned is when you are really poor, you don't have a lot of options. So making money gives you options. So I really went to work studying how to make money. And what I learned is the really smart people learn how to make their money work for them. And so I got into real estate investing because that is a great way that you can go from not any wealth to growing wealth over 20 or 30 years. And it was 2017 when I met a person through the real estate investing side of things that told me about cryptocurrency just a little bit. And so I jumped into the research because he had put 15,000 in and made like 170,000. And that got my attention because it's not that you can't do that in real estate. It's just so rare to do that in such a short amount of time. And so that caught my attention. I started researching it and I devoured information. I was like, oh my gosh, this technology will change the world. Oh my goodness. And it's very early. So I got excited about it and I jumped into cryptocurrency in 2017. Made all kinds of mistakes because you're always bad before you're good at anything. And I was bad, even though I had 20 years investing experience. I was new to crypto. So I made all the rookie mistakes. Made money and lost money because I didn't understand crypto cycles yet. So I put in about 15,000, went to about 160,000. And then I went to 3,000 because I was new. And some of this stuff I invested in was just too risky and went to zero. And some of the stuff that I had made better decisions in, well, it went up and then it went down because of crypto market cycles, which I didn't yet understand. But I understood market cycles in real estate. I just hadn't conveyed that to crypto because I was just new. When you're new, you're just bad at anything. So I thought, well, I'm in the right space. Just let me learn to become good at this. And so during the following bear market in 2018, 2019, 2020, I just researched.
Okay,
So still here today. Love the space.
And how much did it take to be to be good at investing in real estate before?
Real estate, my learning curve was the downside of real estate investing is the cycles are so much slower. So in order to really get good, you have to learn from your mistakes or other people's mistakes. And I was learning from a combination of both. But it took me about 6 to 8 years to become good at real estate investing. Made some really good decisions and some disastrous ones because you're just bad. Over time, I really didn't make a lot of bad ones. I became really good, but it's just so slow compared to crypto. So when I saw crypto, I saw much quicker cycles with massive swings and massive volatility. And that got me excited because, in real estate was still going to take me, 2 or 3 decades to hit my bigger financial goals. In crypto, I realized I could do that in about 8 years. So much more exciting.
And then you left your investment activity in real estate when you started.
Right. I retired officially in 2021. I'm still young. And so retired just means you get to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And so I, retired from real estate investing. And I still like it. I have some connections there and I connect people to it, but I don't do any real estate investing now. Crypto is way more interesting to me.
Thank you. Very interesting. And what are the main advantages of using crypto compared to traditional fiat currencies?
Yeah. So during my first bear market, I really got into studying where is the true value in cryptocurrency? Is there true value in this? What I realized is crypto, or the blockchain combined with cryptographic encryption, is going to allow the internet to do things it couldn't do before. So it's going to bring about another internet revolution of things that couldn't happen before. One is us owning our own data. One is us truly owning our own value, right? So one of the problems with fiat currency is, say you're in Greece 10, actually 15 years ago, and the government makes some bad decisions. So step one, they turn on the money printers and are printing like crazy. Step two, they decide, well, they're still broke, and they reach into your bank accounts and pull out your money. And so your fiat currencies, do you really own them? You don't. Your government owns them. And how much do you control your government? Well, probably less than we realize. And so what's interesting, so a lot of people have used their hedge against that in gold. The problem with gold is trying to move it is expensive. Trying to protect it is expensive and may cost you your life. Because if somebody finds out you have 10 gold bars hidden in your safe, they might come for it, and they'll probably come with guns. And so protecting it is hard. You can pay somebody else to keep it, but then how, is it really yours? So there's just all these additional challenges. Bitcoin is kind of like a digital gold that you can take with you anywhere in the world. Yes, people can come for it with guns if they know how much you have, but so far they haven't been. And you can move it easily, you can spend it easily, you can convert it instantly. Because if you have gold bars in your basement, can you really convert that to cash? Not really, not in the ways you think you can. And if so, you're going to take a huge cut for trying to liquidate a whole bunch of that as possible. So it's just a better store of value. Now, Bitcoin right now isn't a very good currency. It's just a good store of value. Some of these other altcoins, which is mostly what I'm invested in, they're not so much a currency. They don't compete with the dollar. What they are is, it depends on the project. They're kind of early stage venture capital investments that you're making in the future of the project. And if the project does well, you can make a fortune. And if the project doesn't do well, you can just lose it all, right? So, but you're essentially investing in companies that are behind this next revolution of the internet. And that's exciting to me. And we're allowed to invest at much earlier stages through cryptocurrency than normal. Because if you're just like normal, it's like, oh, you can't invest in this early stage of Google because you're not an accredited investor. So all the doors are closed to you until you have a net worth over $1 million or $2 million in most countries. So those doors are all closed to you, whereas cryptocurrency is allowed Main Street to be able to invest before Wall Street can get in. And that's part of what's created the opportunity.
Totally. And what factors do you consider when evaluating the potential of a crypto investment?
Great question, because a lot of cryptocurrency projects out there are just total crap. And they're just some kind of tokenomics play, like, oh, buy this, it's going to go up because such and such influencer or Elon Musk talked about it. And it's like, what is the company do? What does the project do? And they're like, well, what do you mean? What does it do? It's like, yeah, what is the company? Yeah, but the tokenomics, and some get burned, and Elon Musk, there's no substance behind it. That's just like gambling. That's like pulling a slot machine and hoping it pays out. I don't do those. And I know some people have made some money on some of those like meme coin projects and other things, but nothing replicatable, and they usually then lose their money for another reason. What I'm looking for is investing. So I'm looking for projects that have a solid team with a solid idea that makes sense to me of why blockchain, like that project is using blockchain, and why the world needs that to be on blockchain. Because certain companies don't need to be on blockchain, and the Web 2 space or the traditional space handles that better. So I'm looking for a good team with an idea that makes sense. I'm looking for a price that's low. So I say buy when it's boring, meaning I like a project that has those things, but if the price just pumped 20x, I'm not going to be investing in it because the price is high, and I like selling it high. I don't like buying it high. So then I wait, and the crypto space has massive ADD. So it's like everyone will get excited about one project. And even if it's a project I completely believe in, I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't load up on that one. And then it's way up, and then I just wait, and eventually it'll come down. And that's when I buy, when it's boring and people have kind of forgotten about it because they're focused on some other shiny object. And then I just wait, and I wait till it plays out again. And most often it does.
Thank you. And could you please share some of your most successful crypto investments and what led to their success?
Sure. So remember during the bear market, I was thinking, what are the things that the blockchain will really change the world on? And one of my theses was it will really change the world of gaming. And the reason is with video games, one of the problems behind video games is you don't really own your stuff. So if you got started in the early days of World of Warcraft and you built an account and you had all these items that other people, even rich people, would want, well, you have to kind of sell it on a black market because you don't really own it. Blizzard Entertainment owns all your items. You're just essentially renting them. And so as long as your account works, you can sometimes even transfer those items, but you're not supposed to sell them. And if you get caught selling them, they will shut down your account. And so you don't really own that. And that's a problem because you put in all the work, you achieve those things in that game. And so blockchain now enables gaming to have a marketplace for the items and is embracing this idea of ownership. So I had that in mind. And in 2018, there was a project launch called Axie Infinity, and I missed the initial stages of their selling their Axies. But in January 2019, they did their land sale. And I thought, land on the blockchain. This is an idea that could change the world. So I loaded up and I put by loaded up, I mean, I put $4,100 in. Some people will say, oh, that's not even a meaningful amount. To me at the time, it was meaningful. Now I had like hundreds of thousands of dollars in real estate equity, but that's not available cash to invest necessarily. And before that, I used to be rich in real estate, made some mistakes and lost it all and became worth negative 300,000 through some of those mistakes. And then I was building back from there. So I had already been wiped once in real estate investing and learned some very, very valuable lessons. And I had been starting over and building up again. And I found cryptocurrency and I was like, well, shoot, this is amazing. And so in January, I put $4,100 in. And then, I made the mistake of telling my wife, because I was super excited. I was like, blockchain will change video gaming and this idea of land is going to go huge. And she's like, what? So you put $4,100 into land for a game that's not even developed yet on their land. $4,100? That sounds crazy. And I was like, yeah, it is, but it's going to be worth a lot. Trust me. And so every month she would ask me, how's it doing? And for 18 months, it went down. My $4,100 became $3,000, became $2,000, became $1,200. Not really because I didn't sell. I still hold the items. And you haven't lost money if you don't sell. And then it finally started to catch on. And people started talking about Axie Infinity. Because prior to that, when I tell people about Axie Infinity, they would think I was crazy. They were like, oh, you bought land in a game that's not even working yet, or it just came out, but nobody's playing it. Yeah, I did. And how's it doing? Terrible. Why are you so excited about it? Because it's going to be huge. And they're like, I don't think so. And I was like, that's fine. You make your own decisions. And then that land, that $4,100 investment became worth $50,000 and then $400,000, at which point I sold, which was very, very early because had I just held another 6 months, it became $12 million had I sold at the top. And I was like, well, shoot. And even today, if I still had it today, even though it's come back down some, it still would be worth about $1 million. And it's like, wow, I sold early. Well, but I was right. And so that's one of my funnest stories. I have some stories of losing money. I have some stories. Cardano in the last bear market was a project I believed in. I felt like the leader of the team behind it was very open with what he was doing. They had run into a bunch of delays and other snags, and everybody was getting frustrated, and everyone was talking about how it would never launch and that they were vaporware and they were a terrible project. But I thought the reason for the delays makes sense. The team behind it, I think, is really, really strong and experienced. And I think this is going to be a massive success. So I continued putting more in during the bear market. And the price went all the way down to 1.7 cents. And then over the next year and a half, it went to $3.40. So from the very bottom, it went 200x up. What other space can you see those kind of gains, right? Stocks, real estate, you can't see 200x returns like that over a period of 18 months. Now, did I buy it all at the bottom? No, I actually didn't get any of it at the very bottom. The lowest price I bought out was 3 cents. And I started buying when it hit 11 cents. The problem is you don't have a magic crystal ball, so you don't know where the bottom is. I just knew it started to become a really good deal at 11 cents and started buying and loaded a whole bunch in when it hit 3 cents. And some of my friends, because they were just new to investing in general, they're like, what are you doing? It just keeps going down. Why don't you sell that loser? And I was like, I like buying when it's cheap. Why would I get mad when it gets even cheaper? And they're like, yeah, but that's stupid. You should buy such and such. And I'm like, such and such that you're talking about just went up 10x. Why would I buy it after it went 10x? That sounds like you're buying it expensive. I like buying cheap. And so they're like, what are you doing? But the truth is I made millions in the coming bull market, and they didn't. They made a little bit of money, but they were buying expensive, hoping that it would get more expensive. And that's what, as human beings, we naturally tend to do. And it's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah, thank you. It's very interesting. And how do you approach researching and analyzing the team and the project before making investment decisions?
That's easier now that I have a YouTube channel. That was a very hard thing to do even when I had 3 or 4 years experience, because I would reach out to teams. I'd be like, I have $30,000 invested in your project. I'd like to know the answers to these questions. And who'd I reach out to? Their moderator on Telegram or whatever, right? Because I didn't have a way to reach the teams directly. And so their moderator on Telegram would like, oh yeah, and they would answer, but their moderator doesn't know anything. And so I realized number one, I would watch a lot of videos or interviews with the founders of different projects, but sometimes there were no interviews of those projects to even watch. And so as I was making my goals in 2020, and I was writing out, because I made a goal to get to, I was hoping to get to 4 million in the last bull run, from the bear market to the bull market. And I was writing out my goals. Okay, what would I need to do to be able to make that much in this bull market? And as I was writing out those goals, I need to start a YouTube channel so I can ask the founders the questions that I want to ask. I would love to be able to ask them without starting a YouTube channel, because it's a lot of work to do a YouTube channel. I just really want these questions asked and be able to get to know the founders of the team. But I can't do that without having a YouTube channel, unless I was worth $1 billion already, and I'm not. So if I had $1 billion, they'd all want to talk to me, but I don't have $1 billion. So I need to start a YouTube channel. And so that's a lot of what I do on my YouTube channel, is I have a lot of interviews with these projects so that my audience can get the benefits without them having to start their own YouTube channel and get a following, because many of them still have their day jobs. They don't have the time for that. But my YouTube channel is very focused on helping people kind of with the problems that I saw and creating the solutions for them that I wanted, that I wish somebody else had created, but it wasn't there. So I had to create it not only for myself, but for others to be able to benefit from that, so they could get those kinds of questions asked. And I do a lot of my interviews with the teams live. So you can join the live streams and you can ask them right in the comments the questions directly. So it's kind of like a gateway for people to get their questions asked. And so that was step one. Step two was like the research behind it. And some of that is literally, most of the best research is through YouTube videos or other videos. And some of it sucks. So a lot of people on YouTube, they don't know about investing, so they aren't even covering the right things on it. But still, I mean, I would just watch, if I was interested in a project, I would watch 10 or 20 or 30 videos on it. Then, especially starting with any kind of interviews they had with the team, because I want to hear the team's vision for what problems they're solving.
So what are the right questions to ask the team? The problem, what are they solving?
Yeah. So that's the place I start with, is what problem are you trying to solve with your project? And it better be a good answer, right? Because if it's, we have this token and we're going to burn some of the token, and that's just little tokenomics plays. I want to hear, what problem are you solving? So some of the problems being worked on, there's a project called World Mobile Token. And they're like, we're trying to bring cell phone service very inexpensively to parts of like places that don't have cell phone access. And the reason they don't have cell phone access, because the major carriers, it's too expensive versus the returns that they can make to give them cell phone access. So how do we create something cheap and viable that the companies could then leverage off of these systems that we built? And I'm like, okay, that's a project. It's risky, but they're delivering a real value there, or potential real value. Is there money to be made there? Maybe. Is that project probably going to do well from this bear market to the bull market? Yes. Are they going to survive long term? I hope so, but I don't know. So like that, but that's a meaningful case. One of the projects I'm really excited about is called Bumper Protocol, and they're creating a new way to protect your downside risk. So my first bull market, I put in 15,000, became worth 160,000, and then went to 3,000. I had no way to really protect my downside risk without using options, which I didn't really understand how to use. And in crypto I don't even know if you could get them back then. So Bumper is solving a very real problem for even a cheaper way than what options will do. So they're solving a real problem. Who's the team behind it? What's their experience? So the team behind it has a lot of business experience in creating successful businesses. Very intelligent when you talk to them. So their vision makes sense of what they're doing. There's a need for what they're doing. Secondly, is the team behind it strong? I feel that they are. It's still very early stage, so they could totally fail, but I like the risk versus returns. I mean, Axie Infinity that made me 100x returns on my investment. The early stages were really scary. There was 3 separate times I didn't know if the team would make it and stuff, and realize that if you're investing in the crypto space, you're really an early stage venture capital investor, and that's what you're doing. And so you are taking risks, you're taking calculated risks, and guess what? Some of them are going to fail, which is why I don't ever just throw everything in one project. Might be the best project in the world with the best idea in the world, and just something changes randomly that destroys the project. And so I spread out my risk across multiple projects so that if 1 or 2 fail, but 5 succeed massively, well, then I'm still way up.
Thank you. And how do you handle the emotional and psychological aspects of investing in crypto, especially during the times of market turbulence?
That is probably the very best question right there, because most people get shaken out by the turbulence. Some of it comes from my absolute desire to not be poor my whole life, because in real estate, I learned that cycle shook out so many people in real estate investing. Most people would jump into real estate investing after the major gains were made. And so I learned about these cycles. So that was cool. And I was just tenacious enough to stick around. So when I got into crypto, I already understood that cycles exist. But I realized, as I started to realize that after my money went way, way down, I was like, well, shoot, okay. I realized that in crypto, there are cycles too. And right now it's down, but I already understand cycles because of real estate investing. And so I'm excited as can be. I just lost massive money, and I'm so freaking excited because now all the prices are cheap. I'm going to work really, really, really hard with the stuff that I do in my day job, put in extra money into crypto because it's cheap. And so that gave me an advantage, having gone through cycles in real estate. In crypto, you don't have to be near as patient, but it is emotionally taxing, like what you asked. And when I was fairly new in crypto, I was thinking, we're all going to be rich. This is going to be amazing. What I learned is a bunch of people, they were investing in things when they were high because they would chase into the highs, and then the price would retrace on them, and they would just wash out totally. They would not stick around. And so they didn't give themselves a chance to be good. And so they got washed out by the emotions that you were talking about. And it absolutely crushed the potential future that they were going to have, because they would just wash out of crypto and they decide crypto doesn't work. Because they had made some mistakes, because they were bad, because they were new. Everyone's bad when they're new. I was even bad when I was new, with 20 years real estate and other investing experience, and yet I came in and made all these dumb mistakes because I was just new. But I didn't let that wash me out, because I knew I had my hands on something that was going to change the world, and I was not going to let go of it no matter what. And so it really comes down to tenacity. First of all, I think setting proper expectations, like we're doing now, helps people have a better chance. But even with that, some people are still not going to have the tenacity. They're not going to want the financial change in their life bad enough that they're going to hold on tight enough when it's hard. And it's like holding on a bar. And you can only hold on for so long. And some people are just tenacious, even though their body can't hold on anymore, they just will it to happen. And some people are going to be that. And what I love about that is some of those people are going to make the biggest changes. They're the poorest right now, but they're tenacious enough, because I love that this opportunity has opened up finances to the whole world, that you can be in the poorest of the poor countries and you can make life-changing wealth if you're tenacious enough to keep holding on to that bar through your first cycle, where you're just bad as you're learning to be good, and you're tenacious enough to dig in and dive deep and learn and to grow yourself. It doesn't matter what country you come from, you can become absolutely wealth over 8 to 9 years in crypto like you couldn't anywhere else. And that glass ceiling is absolutely broken for you, because in some countries there's glass ceiling. If you're poor, they're not going to let you become rich you can't create a traditional business. You're from the lower class. But through crypto, you can make absolute life-changing wealth, and they can't stop you.
Yeah, sounds very motivational. Thank you. And what do you think? When will the market go up?
18 months. Maybe it happens sooner. If sooner, great. If it's later, fine too. I'm just holding on to that bar. I know what I have my hands on. It's not my first cycle. Now it's easy. It's not hard to hold on to it after you've figured out the patterns. You're just patiently waiting and, picking up even more during this downturn. And some people were like, oh, it needs to happen in the next 6 months. I was like, I have no idea for sure if it'll happen in the next 6 months, and it doesn't matter to me. Right now, prices are cheap, so it's buy time for those that can. You just keep dollar cost averaging in, but you don't borrow money to do it, an important part that I want to add. But so you just keep dollar cost averaging in so that you can be patient and wait. Now, what if it takes 3 or 4 years? I think it'll happen in the next 2. But what if it takes 3 or 4 years? Okay, well, it takes 3 or 4 years. What else are you going to do to go from massively oversold, and so the prices are super cheap, to then it flips around and everyone's searching Bitcoin and crypto again, and everything's pumping up, and people think, oh my gosh, blockchain is the best thing in the world. That cycle will come again. Can I tell you exactly what time it'll come? No, I don't have a magic crystal ball that can predict exactly when it'll happen, just that it will happen. And it will probably happen in the next 2 years. But if it's longer, great. It might even be shorter. It might be 6 months. That's fine too.
And would you recommend buying Bitcoin now?
People are crazy to be passing it up right now. I like buying cheap. It's cheap right now. It's not the cheapest it's ever been. Some of those prices will never come back. It's not even as cheap as it was earlier in this cycle where it hit like 15,000. Well, you missed that. Unless you found a way to rewind time, I don't know that you'll get it at 15,000. People are saying, oh, FTX this, and the money's going to get sold, and it's going to push it down to 15,000. Maybe if you're lucky, it does. But right now, I have to ask myself, is the price right now within my buy range? It's well within my buy range. It's a fantastic buy at these prices, because later, I think in 2030, it's worth over $1 million. So great. I had some friends in 2020 that listened to me when Bitcoin hit $6,000. It went actually below that at $6,000. I was in a business meeting, and they were teasing me about crypto. It's way down. I said, well, yeah, what are you talking about? Do you like to buy cheap? And one of the guys called me after, and he's like, hey, I'm really interested. And I got it, buy cheap instead of expensive, right? And I was like, yeah. So we bought some Bitcoin, and he would call me like, oh, it's at 12,000. Should I sell that? No, I was like, no. And he's like, why? And I said, is it worth over 100,000? He said, no. Then why would you sell it? In fact, why would you sell it at 100,000? Just keep holding it. So it went all the way to almost 70,000, then came back down. He's still massively in profit if he's still holding today. He bought it at $6,000. We'll probably never see those prices again. And he's crazy if he sold it anything less than $1 million, because that's the trajectory it's on. Now, maybe it takes to 2030. Maybe it takes to 2035. That's fine. What else is he going to do that's going to make him $1 million in that time frame that he could have bought for $6,000 and just held for that period? Nothing.
Yeah, totally. And do you have your favorite cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so I have lots of them, and I cover them on my channel. My favorite right now for this cycle, so there's a lot of projects that I'm a huge fan of. Cardano, I'm still a huge fan of, and it's gotten cheap, but it's not as cheap as it was. And it'll probably run up massively from here. So my favorite one at the current timing is called Overcame, and it's just balancing the risk versus the reward. So they're one of the leaders in digital collectibles. So like Batman, like collectibles, comics, like digital versions of the comics that were so popular. So like the 1950s comics, the first editions of like some of the very important comics like Marvel #1 and everything, they got the rights from Disney and Marvel to release those. And so I think in the future, a lot of collectors go to digital collectibles, and Ecomi's the leader in that, and they have a token related to their project called the OMI token. And I think risk versus reward, it's one of my favorites for this cycle. Last cycle, it was Cardano.
Thank you. Interesting. I will check it after our interview. Yeah, what measures do you take to ensure the security of your crypto investments?
Yes. Good question. So #1, never put your seed phrases. Like I saw a lot of people get hacked in 2017 and again in 2021. And the reason they get hacked, they'd put their seed phrases on their iCloud or their Google Cloud in like some passwords folder. And so somebody would hack their Gmail or their Apple ID or something and then get it and like lose millions of dollars. So #1, you need to store that written down somewhere safe and away where people can't access it. Secondly, you can use hardware devices. Obviously, Ledger might not be as safe as we thought. There's some new ones working out hardware devices that you have to connect or you have to get a code from or something in order to access it, and that helps. So yeah, some of it is like keeping it in different places too. So if one gets compromised, you don't lose everything.
You're right, totally, yeah, totally agree. What resources or tools do you rely on to stay informed about the crypto market?
Yeah, so this is what's changed, and it took me a while to get used to because I was used to reading data on the internet, but cryptocurrency moves so fast. There's really only 3 sources that keep somewhat up to date, and that's YouTube, Twitter, and Medium articles. So the combination of those 3 is how you try to keep informed, but it is like drinking from a waterfall in that there's a waterfall of information. And it's totally overwhelming. I created a private Discord channel through my Patreon group. So members of my Patreon get access to the private Discord. Because what I realized even in the last bear market, I was like, I feel like I'm drinking from a waterfall and all this information is just spilling all over me. And I can't keep track of all of it as just one person. And so though I'm making some good choices, I'm missing out on 50 other ones because I'm just one person. So I wanted to create some kind of network of people who thought the right way to talk about these things. And the truth is, most people in crypto don't seem to think the right way. They're just following whatever crypto pump or whatever. And that's all right. Like some people, you give them the right information. They're not even ready to accept it or understand it because they don't want to change the way that they think. And so my YouTube channel, it kind of attracts people who already think the right way. And then out of my YouTube channel, it's like some of the people that think the right way have joined the private Discord. And so it's led to really meaningful conversations and research by people who are looking at teams at a deeper level, and they share their research and their thoughts so that I just, I miss less, but also my community misses less. So in some of the stuff I cover on my channel comes from some of the insights that they came up with from the Discord group, because there's so much out there, and keeping relevant on it, even through those 3 sources. Like you could spend all day on Twitter and only get 5% of the information of what's changing in the crypto market. And that's not even looking at YouTube and Medium. There's 20,000 plus crypto projects out there. Yeah, maybe 70% of those are scams. But even with 30% being legitimate projects, trying to keep track of all that is, for one person, even for 10 people, is impossible. So you're just trying to keep track of some of it and focus on some of it.
Thank you. And what advice do you have for someone new to crypto investing?
Yes. Here's what I would say. I think one of the #1 keys to understanding crypto investing. So a lot of the places that we turn to learn about crypto investing, #1 is YouTube. And what I like about YouTube or TikTok or any other video platform is you can get a lot of information that's kind of broken down by somebody else digesting it. But one of the things you don't understand is that the incentives are all wrong for the person making the YouTube videos. because they do tend to cover what is hot or what is already expensive. So if you're just using those sources, you're going off of that kind of research, if that's your research, you're tending to buy when it's high, not when it's low, because they're not covering projects when they're boring and the price is really good, because they won't get a lot of views on it. They're covering what's already gone up a bunch, and everyone's hoping will go up more. Well, that's not when I buy. So I still watch a lot of YouTube videos of other content creators, but when they're talking about stuff, oh, this is hot and it just gone up 5x and I think it'll go up 10x more, it's already gone up 5 times what the price was. So I still learn about the project, and then I just kind of take a note, and I am like, okay, I'm going to revisit this when nobody's talking about it, but I like the things behind it, and I like the long-term vision of them, but I'm going to buy it when it's cheap. So understand that on most YouTube channels, when you're following them, they're going to be talking about projects that are pumping, because they get way more views and they get way more subscribers by doing that. And so the incentives are misaligned. Literally, when they say this isn't financial advice, it isn't financial advice, but they're also covering projects that are probably already on people's minds going way, way up. And that's often a bad time to buy.
Thank you.
But most people don't know that. And that's one of the reasons I didn't know that when I was new. And that's one of the reasons that I didn't do near as well as I could have in my first run, is I just didn't know that. It took me 1.5 years to learn that.
Yeah, it is a problem. Thank you so much, Cryptorainn, for all the information you share with us now, and all the valuable information you share on your YouTube channel. And guys, if you are not following Cryptorainn yet, please, you should do it right away. We will put the link to Cryptorainn's channel in the description. Thank you so much for coming. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, Malika, thank you so much for having me.